We can tell you tonight exactly who will be called to testify at the Mike Duffy trial next month. CBC News has obtained a list of people who have been subpoenaed by the prosecution. It includes staff from the Prime Minister's office, senators, and members of Parliament. The Prime Minister is not on the list, but one of the men who became a central player in the case, who has said almost nothing publicly about that famous $90,000 check he gave Mike Duffy, is on it. The CBC's Rosemary Barton has the details for us. Rosie.
Peter, it is likely to be one of the most watched political events of the season. Now CBC News has new details about how the trial of Mike Duffy will unfold. Suspended Senator Mike Duffy is facing 31 charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in connection to his Senate spending and expense claims. In recent weeks, key witnesses have been subpoenaed by the Crown to testify against Duffy, many of them with detailed knowledge of just what was unfolding inside the Prime Minister's office as the scandal heated up politically. Nigel Wright, the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff now working in London, England, has spoken to and provided hundreds of emails to the RCMP. According to those documents, he is expected to testify about how he tried to convince Duffy to pay back tens of thousands of dollars and then finally gave Duffy $90,000 of his own money while never actually telling the Prime Minister the details. In an email obtained by the RCMP, Wright says, "The PM knows in broad terms only that I personally assisted Duffy when I was getting him to agree to repay the expenses." David Van Hemmen has also been subpoenaed. He worked as Wright's assistant, and court documents say was one of the few who knew about Wright's check and directed it to Duffy's lawyer. Benjamin Perrin acted as the Prime Minister's legal counsel. He will also be a witness. According to court documents, he negotiated directly with Duffy's lawyer for Wright. Many of his emails around the event have yet to be made public. And the PM's current Chief of Staff, Ray Novak, has also been called as a witness. Those witnesses will likely paint a clear picture of Duffy's reluctance and inability to pay back the money himself. 4 senators who work closely on the Duffy audit and report have also been subpoenaed by the Crown, 1 Liberal, George Fury, and 3 Conservatives, Marjorie Le Breton, David Tkachuk, and Carolyn Stewart-Olson. The Conservative senators liaised directly with the Prime Minister's office about where things were going and whether a Senate report should be watered down to be less critical of Duffy.
It was a Conservative government.
CBC News has also learned several members of the Conservative caucus will also be called to testify. MPs who hosted Duffy at fundraising events. Back in 2009, Duffy was still a hot commodity, a big draw for the party, and he traveled widely. The RCMP allege he was double dipping, charging the Senate even while he did partisan events.
They interviewed numerous witnesses in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Prince Edward Island.
One of those MPs is Barry Devlin from Ontario, who last week raised the issue of his subpoena at caucus. He was directed to the Prime Minister's office. Sources say all MPs subpoenaed are expected to cooperate with the trial, and in a statement tonight, the Prime Minister's office confirms it has done just that since the very beginning. But the trial itself may shed new light on just what the Prime Minister's closest advisors told him about what was clearly a political embarrassment. Peter.
All right, Rosie, thank you. Rosemary Barton in Ottawa tonight.